Sazoneros, welcome to one of our first interviews of our series, where we're going to be talking to different small business owners on our travels. And for us, you know, we buy black, we go local. So we were super excited to find a black-owned small business here in Mexico specializing in soul food. We're here today at Blaxicocina, and we are with the owner and chef.
Yes, owner, chef, dishwasher.
Owner, chef, dishwasher.
Landscaper.
Jack of all trades.
Yeah.
Girl, don't I know it.
Graphic designer. Yeah.
That's what it is when you own your own small business. You do a little bit of everything. So can you please introduce yourself for us?
Yeah, I'm Tiara Darnell. I'm originally from the Maryland, Washington, D.C. area. I've lived in Mexico for about 3.5 years. Blaxicocina is my first restaurant, and I did not have any experience in the restaurant industry, and I think maybe I had worked for 2 months of my entire life in a restaurant when I first started this endeavor. Yeah.
Okay, that's a lot.
It's a lot.
I mean, really, I'm kind of coming from a similar background, both of us. My husband, Ezra, he's never worked in a restaurant. And then I worked McDonald's in college, and then I worked in one restaurant for one summer. And so that was the extent of my restaurant experience. And I was a server there. I wasn't even a cook. So this was us completely trying something new and going into it. So can you just kind of tell me a little bit about the story of what made you go from Maryland, what brought you to Mexico, and then what brought you from your original career to doing this? How did that happen?
I was working, my background is in like podcasting, audio production, and I was working for a global music streaming company at the time, working on like their podcasting, original programming, and it was the beginning of the pandemic, and actually no, it was the first Christmas of the pandemic. I went back to Portland, Oregon, where I'm not from, but I lived there for a long time, and it feels like a city that I'm very much connected to. And a friend of mine there, we sat on the hood of his car drinking coffee one morning, and he was telling me about how he had lived in Mérida, Mexico for like the past 6 months. And he was just kind of like, why are you here? Like, you're already working remotely. You should just go to Mexico. And I was like, yeah, you know, man, we'll see. And the more I thought about it, the more I was like, you know what, yeah. Because I had already lived abroad before, like I said. You know, I'm a former Peace Corps volunteer. I lived in Morocco for 2 years. And so I've traveled to like probably over 40-something countries. So I'm very used to being abroad. I love being abroad. I already spoke some Spanish. And so when I thought about it, it just kind of made sense. I was like, yeah, I should go.
That is a really interesting background. I didn't even know any of that. So just super quick, because I'm interested. Peace Corps, what did you do in the Peace Corps? How did you like it? How did that impact you and maybe bring you to where you are now?
It was, doing the Peace Corps in Morocco was one of the most, I guess, like rapid periods of self-development in my life. And I really enjoyed every moment. It took a while because Morocco is such a completely different culture, but I loved Morocco. I loved the city that I lived in southern Morocco, Ouarzazate, and I really feel like it gave me the strength to be able to do things independently in a way that I never had in the U.S., being in a completely different culture, and a lot of the adaptability that you have to have in terms of like making food that tastes like home with ingredients that are not exactly maybe what you would get in the U.S. I learned a lot of that there, and a lot of that has played immensely into what I'm doing here.
So that, where you're talking about ingredients, that's something I want to circle back to because it's something that we face trying to do Caribbean food in Hawaii. But before that, I want to just start off at the beginning. We love the name, Blaxicocina. You know, we've got Blaxit, which for those who are online, black people who are online, that you are in travel spaces, you're in moving abroad spaces or working remotely spaces, you've probably heard this term Blaxit. Comes from Brexit, it's the black exit, and it's an exodus of black people from the United States and other places from throughout the diaspora deciding to go abroad, leave the Western countries and go. Some of us are going back home, back foreign, you know, back to Caribbean countries, back to the countries of our ancestors, or to somewhere completely new, and just kind of opting out of the rat race of the United States. How does that concept factor into this? You know, how did you come up with the name, and what is the message you're trying to convey with it?
Well, I mean, we talked, you know, about the adaptability and like, you know, using ingredients and things that you have at hand to make things that feel like home. And so in the beginning, when I first lived here, I could see that there was a growing population of black people from across the diaspora, but especially from the US. And there was no place that was like a physical representation of our culture here in Mexico City, even though there's a lot of shared history. It's little known, but a lot of shared history between black people from the U.S. and Mexicans. You know, the Underground Railroad did not just go north. There were a lot of people who went south to northern parts of Mexico. There's also, you know, the Port of Veracruz, which was one of the biggest entry points for slaves coming from Africa to the Americas. And, you know, there's a lot of Afro-Mexican history that is not fully recognized here. And, you know, I think that there's just a lot of rich history there that can be explored through food. And this is a way, not just through the name, you know, Black Mexican Kitchen, but also just through the action of feeding people and using ingredients and telling stories through the food that's on the table. That is a way that we can really highlight that history and build culture within a culture in this country that has been so welcoming to Black Americans across generations.
That's so exciting, and I'm so glad to hear that, because I think a lot of the fear that we as Black Americans, as Black people in general, feel when traveling abroad is, do they like us there?
Yes.
There's a funny meme that I love, and it's like, you know, hey, they're talking about all these places you can move abroad, but do they like us?
Yeah.
Do they like us? You know what's up. And I think we all know that feeling of, hey, certain places you go, people want to touch your hair, people want to ask inappropriate questions, people think you're a celebrity. You know, one time I was out in another country and they were like, Beyonce, Beyonce. I was like, flattering, yes, love it, thank you.
Yeah.
But that was the only point of reference.
Well, you got Beyonce, I got Tracy Chapman when I was in Morocco.
Tracy Chapman, I mean, she's having a moment right now.
She
so
is, she
you
was
can
not bad. I was like, how did y'all pull that out of your consciousness? But
You might want to use that one.
Yeah.
She's having a moment. For somebody who doesn't know, be like, you know what, I am Tracy Chapman.
Yeah, exactly.
Give me a table at this restaurant.
100, yeah.
Oh, I love that for you.
Yeah.
So that's something that I'm super excited to hear, that they are welcoming to us here. I've only been here a couple days. We've been here 3 or 4 days. I haven't had a negative experience racially wise at all. The only thing is the bumpiness of these streets. I already twisted my ankle twice with all these
Listen, it might
holes.
be safer to drive drunk in Mexico than walking on the sidewalk texting.
I completely fell on the ground on some cobblestones earlier today. A man had to help me out. It was just, I haven't tripped like that since I was probably a kindergartner.
Yes, watch your ankles, watch your ankles.
Watch your ankles. If you come to Mexico, watch your ankles. Don't wear heels on the sidewalk. Don't go walking trying to be cute.
No.
Because you will.
No, you will be on your hand.
Smith snapping she's snapping off camera. She said truth. Oh my God. So that's another great question. So you're talking about the Black community that already existed in Mexico. So I'm assuming that their descendants are still out here somewhere. There's Afro-Mexicans.
Yeah.
How are they people that are kind of tied into this? Are they part of your clientele? My question really is, how has the community responded to you being here, and what are the demographics of your client base?
So I think when we first started out, it was definitely like predominantly Black people from the U.S. and then I would say other people from the U.S. They came here because they already understood what the food was. When you say soul food, they know what that means. Most Mexicanos don't immediately know when you say soul food. They're not associating what does that mean?
So that concept doesn't really exist there. That term doesn't.
I think it's pretty new. But what's interesting is that the food itself, at least the representations of it, are here. So for example, there's KFC that's been here for a long time. Popeyes came maybe I don't know if it was last summer or the summer before. I think it was 2 summers ago Popeyes came. And there was only 3 of them, I think, to start out. And now they have at least 20 locations.
Wow,
here.
Okay, so they love it.
Right.
Do they call it Popeyes here too?
I think they do call it Popeyes.
Okay, in Peru they call it Popeyes.
Yeah.
One time my mother-in-law, she was like, oh, ¿quieres Popeyes? I was like, what is she talking? What is Popeyes? And then I saw a commercial. She's like, oh, Popeyes. Like, oh, you mean Popeyes?
Yes, and I did try the Popeyes when I was in Peru as well. I feel like suddenly I'm trying Popeyes as if it's French fries or something like that.
Best KFC. I don't know if there's Popeyes there, but definitely the best KFC is in Jamaica.
I've heard that. I haven't been.
That's what the streets are saying.
Yeah, that's what the streets say. All right, I'm willing. I'm here to try.
Yes.
I love flavors.
Yeah.
So if
I mean, you can trust Jamaicans since we don't play about our food.
100.
Yeah.
So yeah, Popeyes grew, and so that's what I'm saying. My landlord here would not constantly, but regularly enough, kind of tell me in the beginning, I don't think that Mexicans eat this food. And I'm like, yes, y'all do. You just don't know that you eat this food because you haven't seen the blackness along with it, you know. And there's
if they like flavor, they're gonna like this kind of food.
100%.
That's what I tell people all the time. You know, with our food, with Caribbean food and Puerto Rican food in Hawaii, a lot of people are like, I never heard of this before, and I'm like, hey, if you like flavor, you're gonna like this.
Right.
And you introduce people to a dish they may have never had, but it may still inspire those same kind of feelings, and it still has that warm hug kind of feeling.
Exactly. I think when you get that along with like the music and sort of like, you know, like the hospitality that comes along with like food, black food, you know, like all of that stuff creates an experience that just adds in a way that, you know, you can have the food at Popeyes or KFC, but it's not going to be exactly the same when you get it from like almost like your cousin made it, you know, something like that.
I mean, same thing. You know, Taco Bell. Compared to this, I was telling my husband just this morning, I said, no shade to all of our friends that make Mexican food in the United States. I love you food. But this morning I was like, you know what? I've never truly had Mexican food, real Mexican food, because what I've had here has been just a cut above a totally different ballpark of what I've had before. I've had good food.
Yeah.
But this morning I bought a tamale from a guy pushing a cart in front of my apartment for $1 for 20 pesos. $1.10, $1.25. We'll do the math later. That was one of the best things I've ever eaten in my life. And that man had no sign, no name for the business. I'll never see that man again, probably. And I almost shedded tears. I was like, this is the most delicious tamale I've ever had. And it was just some man just walking down the street. And what stuck out to me is how well seasoned it was.
Right.
It was seasoned. I was like, okay, these people know about seasoning, because sometimes when you have Mexican food in the United States, it can be kind of bland. It can be kind of very hit or miss. And even the places
somebody else's interpretation of it, though. Not
a few generations removed, or you're not working with the same ingredients, but there's nothing like the homeland, I gotta tell you.
Yeah, or you've never been to the country, but you're making a food from that country.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's definitely one of those things where somebody told me recently that the food here tastes like I had traveled, and I thought that was a really beautiful compliment. You know,
I love that.
Yeah. It really
the fusion that comes in. So that was my next question: is how do you blend Black food traditions with the Mexican food scene here, the Mexican gastronomy that exists? What's some of the fusion that you're doing, and how are you respecting those traditions while respecting the traditions you come from?
It's so awesome to be able to open up a restaurant and a culture that loves to eat and loves to get together and eat together, you know. So
that's my kind of people.
And so that is kind of like the foundation, the connective glue of it all, is that we all enjoy food, we all enjoy gathering and like sharing it together. And then I think that I'm just so inspired by, especially coming from the U.S. where we don't have like a national cuisine per se, but going to like a place where they do have a national cuisine that's been around for like centuries, you know? And so I think it's really inspiring to see the use of different, kind of the same central ingredients, but used in so many different ways. It feels like alchemy or something like that. Like it's really...
It really is. And that's something we experienced in Hawaii. So a dish, ingredients like cilantro or culantro.
Yes.
Those things are used a lot in Vietnamese food and a lot of different Asian cuisines, but in the combination that we put them in, you know, an onion's an onion, garlic is garlic.
Right.
But you put it together a certain way, you're creating a completely different taste.
Yes.
And for so many people, they're like, oh my God, I've never had cilantro in this way. I've never had something with tomatoes and onions in this kind of way. So you can really use those same basic building blocks, those same basic flavors, and create something totally different.
And I think like one of the best examples of that and sort of like the education that goes behind like teaching people who've never had this food what it's about. Corn is so integral to the Mexican experience, to everything that they eat here. And in the case of Mexico, the tradition is that most corn is wet. It's ground in order to get, you know, tortillas and huaraches and like all these different things that come from the masa. But in the U.S., and especially in Black culture, grits are something that are very important to us. But you don't get grits here because grits... No.
Isn't it just the same thing, just dry?
Yes, exactly. Yeah. But the tradition here is to wet it and then make the masa, and then everything else comes from that. So if you take a step back before that process of nixtamalization, then you have grinding dry corn, and you get grits and
so they don't like
all that kind of stuff. So they don't, but I have like shrimp and grits on the menu, and when people try it or we explain it to them like what it is, it's like, you know, it's kind of like similar, they might use, I don't know how to describe it, but when we tell them like it's corn, but you know, it's creamy and it has butter and it's this and that, and they try it, like, oh wow, I never had corn this way before, and it's sort of like a moment like, wow, we have so much corn here, and this is not a part of our culture, but this is so delicious.
That's so interesting to me, because I mean, since it's coming from the southern United States, you'd think that there would have been some cross-pollination with Mexico there.
It could be like up in the northern area, they have something similar. I don't know. I haven't spent a lot of time traveling up there, but at least where we are in, like, you know, central Mexico and Mexico City, it is not. It's not as common. It's not as common. So it's more likely that most people will not have had grits before.
Okay, so that actually is my next question, is what have been the biggest challenges when it comes to sourcing the ingredients that you need, and how have you adapted? So where do you get your grits?
We started grinding our own corn.
Wow.
To make the grits. So
you guys have a grinder back there?
We honestly, we just use a blender.
Okay.
Yeah, so we make our own grits. The same thing, the corn flour and the cornmeal that goes into the cornbread. We grind.
So you're able to just buy dried corn here?
Yes.
That's of good quality.
Yeah, we get high quality corn, and everything that we do that has any kind of like dry corn is going to come from that corn that we grind.
Okay, well, I want to try these grits. Is it a shrimp and grits dish?
It is a shrimp and grits dish.
Okay, I do love the shrimp and grits. We do a Puerto Rican shrimp and grits myself, and it's
delicious. Yeah,
it's good. It's one of our top sellers because a lot in Hawaii, grits are not really a thing either. So people are like, oh, I've seen this on TV. I've never had grits before. And putting a Puerto Rican spin on it, people, it's one of those whoosh moments, like you said.
Hey man, I want to try your grits now.
Oh,
like, let's go.
Girl, we can get up in the kitchen. Okay?
Look, I'm
we
ready.
We got some adobo and sazon.
Throw it down
inside of the suitcases. So we'll come back to work.
Y'all came prepared.
Yes, I got everything. If you guys got plátanos, I'll make you some mofongo.
Mofongo, say less.
Bro, I have a little pilon. I did not leave without my pilon, and I didn't leave without my tostonera. I was like, I need these things, and I'm going to places where I don't know if I'm gonna have them. I need to have my mofongo. I need to have my mango. I need to have all those things.
Yes.
So I came.
We ready.
What about some other ingredients that have been difficult to find? What have been your biggest challenges?
The biggest challenge is Old Bay seasoning. So obviously I'm from the Maryland, DC area. So that's, you know, a seasoning that's very nostalgic for me. It tastes like home, you know, and there's nothing else that tastes like it. And you could try to kind of make your own, but Old Bay is such a specific
It's such a distinct taste, and I'm sure they've got some proprietary secrets in there. There's some MSG going on.
For sure. I was reading the ingredients the other day. I was like, wow, I didn't know this had cardamom in it, but cool. Like, I love it.
Don't sleep on cardamom.
Yes,
delicious.
I love cardamom. It's one of my favorite spices. But so the Old Bay has been something that's like very specific, and same thing like in these drinks that we have here.
Yeah. So what
this
are
is called the blue drink or blue drink. In Spanish, azulita se llama. And this is normally we make it with mezcal, but in this case, something different for us. I made it with rum. I think it's really refreshing. But it is a blue KoolAid based drink, so it's a I want to say like blue flavor. The blue flavor.
The blue flavor.
Yeah.
This is like no KoolAid I've ever had.
It's
not overly sweet. I don't taste the diabetes.
No.
This is so good. I love this. I've been sipping on this whole time.
A good little mix of like, you know, fresh pineapple, lime, the blue raspberry, lemonade, KoolAid, and then like I said, mezcal or
that fresh lime and fresh pineapple really comes through. That makes all the difference. Just those little touches of fresh ingredients, even if you're using something like KoolAid, you know, no shade to KoolAid at all. You know, we use adobo, we use sazon, we use those things. But once you add in some fresh element like that, it really brightens it up.
It takes it to another level. And honestly, like the KoolAid, I personally have not seen KoolAid sold here. I mean, I'm sure occasionally you can find it in like random markets and stuff like that, but especially this particular one, this flavor, I have to get somebody to bring that from the US.
Okay, so can you order things on Amazon?
You can, but it's so expensive because you have to pay an import fee on top of it, you know?
That's why it's so expensive here.
Yeah.
I mean, not everything, but luxury goods.
Luxury things, things that they normally wouldn't have here,
Yeah, we went to the mall today and I walked into Lululemon just to look around. I like my Lululemon, and a bag that is $198 in the States was $270 here. A shirt was $86. A bra was like $75.
It's just imported from the US, so you have to pay.
Even at Lululemon prices, that's crazy.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
But so
what about lobsters?
What about what?
Oh, Lowry's. Can you get Lowry's here?
Yeah, I have found one. You know what? I appreciate that people have a fondness and like a place in your heart for Lowry's. My family, we didn't really cook with that, so like I know what it is. I know like the significance that it holds in the culture. And yes, I do. I think when I saw it for the first time here, I just bought a bottle for comfort, not even because I was planning on using it, but like I feel like this should be in my pantry.
Is it something they don't use as much in Maryland, or is it specific to your family, you think?
I don't know. I think it might be my family. I think it might be my family.
Okay, Jamaica's a little Lowry's.
Yeah.
we use Lowry's in our stuff a lot.
Yeah,
okay, that is super exciting. So, can you tell me a little bit about your relationship with some of the ingredient providers, like local farmers? I think I saw on either on your Instagram or in one of your interviews, you talking about working with local farmers to source your ingredients to get the collard greens and things like that. Can you tell us some more about that?
Yeah, so along with like the corn, the grits and that kind of stuff, I was having a hard time finding collard greens. I knew I wanted to have that on the menu because
do they eat those here?
There are. I feel like Swiss chard and kale are more common. Collard greens I did not see when I went to most places, and I found out through some friends that there was a farmer who was growing collard greens because somebody gave him some seeds that he thought was kale or chard or something like that, and it turned out they were collard greens. And so he was growing just a little bit, a small production, because a lot of people don't know what it is when they see it, and so they weren't buying it. So I went and I found him, and I started buying him out every single week. And then when I went back to DC in like February 2 years ago, I connected with this nonprofit that's called the Heirloom Collard Project. And they basically are guardians of heritage seeds of collard greens. So I had no idea that there's like over 100, nearly 200 different types of collard greens, because I've only ever seen one.
I only see one.
Right, exactly. And so they ended up sending me like the seeds for 5 different varieties, and I worked with this farmer to grow them.
And that's called the Heirloom Collard
Project.
Collard Project. Okay, we'll try and link to that in the description because I love those kinds of organizations. They're keeping tradition alive. All those different organizations that preserve heirloom seeds, they are doing the Lord's work.
Yes, they are.
Because once the apocalypse is upon us, they need
That's it.
Everybody's gonna need to learn how to farm.
Yeah.
Including me. I'm squeamish.
It's been really wonderful to have that experience of like growing those things and then sharing them, and like now there's collard greens for everybody. So other black folks, other people who've never had them before, who are introduced to them here. Where do I get these? Oh, you go to Aurelio at this market on Sundays and go see him, and he'll have them, there for you. So it's been really, really beautiful to work with a local Mexican farmer in that way, and it's also one of those things where it's a benefit for us, but also a benefit for him economically, because now there's another avenue of opportunity for him to sell something that most people do not have. So
I mean, that's so exciting. Great for you, great for him.
Exactly.
So I love hearing about that kind of symbiosis that you've been in, and you've also been able to connect other black people here with him, right?
Yeah.
So one of the things that we were curious about is over in Hawaii, we have a lot of different black social groups, cultural groups. We have things like For the Culture, Black Hawaii, Afro Aloha. Shout out to all you guys. We love you all. And if I forgot any, I love you too. So we have a lot of those kind of meetup groups where we have big events. There's a big Juneteenth event coming up. What is that, next week, I think? Yeah, next week is Juneteenth.
Yeah.
They're gonna have a big Juneteenth event. They just had a really great Dripnik event last week. So there are these cultural events where all the black people are connecting with each other. We're sharing our food pop-ups. We started off selling food out of our house before we had our food truck or any kind of commercial space. Are there any groups like that here, kind of social meetup groups where everyone knows, okay, get on this group on Facebook and it'll connect you with all the other black people in black events?
Yeah, I mean, there's like Brothers and Sisters of Mexico City,
they've got
which
those
is an easy one to find in Mexico City. But I think that it really takes getting into the WhatsApp groups, and sometimes those links are not always available. You kind of gotta like go out and kind of meet people and then find out like, oh, what groups are you in, and then you kind of get connected. But once you get into like the different groups and stuff, you start meeting people, the world opens up, and you find out like, oh, it doesn't seem like there's a lot of black people here, but actually there is a lot. But you have to remember we're in a city of like 22 million people.
Yeah.
So of course it's not going to seem like a lot of us because we're so few compared to everybody else who's here. But once you start getting into like,
I saw 3 today. I saw
you get into the water, it carries
I said hi to all of them.
Yeah.
They did not all say hi to me.
No, it used to be better, but I feel like, I don't know, like the more and more people come here, sometimes those
See, like they kind of want to.
But also, it depends on where they're from, though, too.
Oh,
because like if you're black and you're from somewhere in Africa, or you're from somewhere in the Caribbean, and you're not like you're used to being in a place where everybody kind of looks like you, it's not really special to see another black person.
Yeah.
But in the US, we're like,
somewhere,
you know,
yeah.
you gotta get that nod.
I'm giving the nod to everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw one where I was like, sis, from like across the street.
Yeah. It just depends. But I feel like most people are very nice.
So for black people that come here, is it easy to get connected in, you think? Or you really got it? How do you know where to go just to get connected to people? You know, what's that first night we need to go to?
The first night? You just need to come to Blaxicocina, period.
Obviously.
Like, come to the soul food restaurant.
Okay.
Have a conversation with me. Don't worry, I got you.
So on that topic, what are some of the events that you do here? Because I know I saw some Motown Monday.
Yes.
I saw some hip hop events. I think I saw some Uno, some spades.
I feel like the Uno and spades, those things just kind of break out spontaneously. That's not.
Do you keep
planned.
it here available for everybody?
Yes, there's always little games and stuff around here. We have done Black Ass Trivia.
Ooh.
We've done what else? Trap karaoke.
Okay.
Not trap. I'm sorry. What was I saying?
Hip hop karaoke?
Trap brunch.
Trap brunch. Ooh, I love that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Trap brunch. Yeah. This Sunday coming up, we're doing something that's like a celebration of the 60th anniversary of Fania Records. So anybody who's into like salsa,
Fania, El Cantante, Hector Lavoe.
Celia Cruz.
Okay, I love this Puerto
Johnny
Rican
Pacheco, like yes.
Supposedly,
so,
we're related. My family's related to Johnny Pacheco.
Oh, really?
Supposedly, we're Pachecos, and so they've always been like, "Oh yeah, that's our cousin or second cousin." I don't know how true it is, but
y'all getting the check?
Not a dime.
Well, that's how it goes with family sometimes.
It be your own people.
Yeah, it be your own people. Yes, it be your own people. But yeah, so we're doing stuff like that. Last Sunday we had a vinyl record sale, which was amazing. It was like one of the best days at Blaxicocina.
So was that where people were bringing their own records to kind of sell and trade, or did you supply all of it?
No, there were certain vendors. Yeah,
okay.
Vendors that were coming. Yeah, but it was amazing because it was like all these different DJs and like record sellers from honestly across Latin America, and there was so much different music represented, especially from the African diaspora. Every DJ came and they did like an hour set, so the vibe like changed, you know, like
I
every
love that. I
DJ
saw you have a really good collection of records behind the DJ booth.
Yeah, some of them are mine, some of them belong to my boyfriend, and you know, we combined our stashes, and I still have stuff back in New York that I haven't brought down here because it's such a hassle to like bring stuff, you know, especially records are so heavy. Man. But yeah, it's been really beautiful to do stuff like that, and we've been hosting like a lot of different pop-ups from different chefs. We had a Congolese night like last week, which is really amazing because there's not a lot of African food in Mexico City. There's a couple places that are open, but they're kind of like in further out areas from like the main spots where a lot of like the foreigners and stuff tend to congregate. Okay.
So would you be interested in a Dacho Sazon pop-up?
Listen, I'm ready. Y'all just tell me when.
Okay, we'll bring the
Look, as soon as you said the mofongo and then you was like the Puerto Rican shrimp and grits, I was like, I'm ready. Just tell me when.
I got the other one, Sazon, on deck, so
I will go shopping with you.
You heard it here.
You heard it.
That's coming soon, okay? So, to change tracks a little bit.
Sure.
Talking about the way that people have come here and they're able to find community, they're able to find something new for some of them. What has been the most memorable experience or feedback that you've gotten from somebody here? Either somebody local that this is new for them or somebody getting a taste of home. What's really stuck out to you in terms of how this has connected with people?
I think that the days when I look up and there's more Mexicanos in here than there are black people, that's when I'm like, okay, yes, like we're really doing this, and like people are starting to understand. Yeah, because like I said in the beginning, it was like mostly black folks, other folks from the US. Now I really do feel like we have like a solid like 50-50 clientele base, which has been really wonderful and something that we've worked really hard. And especially too because like I do speak Spanish. I don't speak it like fluently, but I'm pretty advanced compared to like most other gringos that come here. And I feel like that has helped a lot in terms of having like one-on-one conversations with people and explaining to them what I'm doing. But I do feel like, you know, getting myself, my nerves like, you know, put to the side and like my courage worked up to be able to like turn the camera on myself and speak in Spanish on social media is still something that I need to work on. Okay. And I think it's something that's it's not that I don't want to do it, but it's more just like nerves because it's not my first language, and you know, because the internet be hard on you, you know.
They
like,
are. Stop being so mean.
Yeah, so it's just like I just want to get it right, but I want people to understand that like this is something that I did not like purely for myself, but just I needed a job and I needed something to do. Though I would say restaurants are very hard. They are very hard.
And they're not profitable right away.
They're not profitable right away.
They're not easy.
It's not for the faint of heart. However, that being said,
unless
I did it
you
because
love this, don't do it.
And even if you love it, be prepared to like have those days when you're not loving it.
Yeah.
And you just gotta.
There are those days you hit till 3 in the morning. You're cleaning the toilets. Somebody throws up.
Right.
You know, a homeless person walks in.
Coming in. What permit did y'all say that I need to have that I didn't know I needed to have?
Liquor
or,
commission
whatever.
coming down your throat.
Like all kind of things. All kind of things. Why is this refrigerator broken now? We just fixed it. You know, all kind of stuff. So all that to say that like it's been a labor of love, but it's been something that I would rather be doing this than anything else.
So before this, you were working kind of in a office job?
Yeah, it was like a 9 to 5, for a corporate company.
Okay, so what would you say is your favorite thing, or what's the best thing about making that transition from 9 to 5 to being your own boss?
The best thing about
And what's the worst thing too?
I don't have to have meetings if I don't want to.
Okay. No.
Yeah.
If it needs to be an email, it can be an email.
Or I don't have to, your email is just going to sit in my inbox till I get a chance to read it, you know,
Exactly.
so.
You're on your own schedule.
Yeah, I think that the flexibility has been really nice, but also you have to be more disciplined because like you don't have somebody holding you accountable, you don't have benchmarks and things you have to hit, so it's you know, kind of a catch-22. Things that I've hated, I mean, I do miss the ease of knowing like, I come this day, I work from this time to this time, I do this and I do that.
The check is this amount
and my
every
check
time.
is so that
comes on this date at this time. It's the same amount. I worked for the government before doing this, and if my check was the exact same amount every single week. It was just, it's like clockwork.
Exactly.
That is nice, but it does come at a price.
Yeah.
I mean, this comes at a price too. I say, you know, the best thing is not having a boss, but also the worst thing can be not having a boss, because I don't have to answer to anybody, but also I've got no one to cover for me.
Right.
I got no paid vacation time. I have no one else to hold the ball for me if I want to sleep in, or if I want to take a day off. It all stops with you. The buck stops right here.
Exactly.
But for those of us who like it, we love it.
Yep.
But yeah, it's for a certain type of person.
Yes.
So what are your future aspirations for Blaxicocina? What are your future plans? What are the new projects? What can we expect from you guys?
So right now we are currently in the midst of a crowdfunding campaign.
Oh, I did see that.
Yes.
We contributed to that. Support Black businesses, support small businesses.
Super appreciate it. Because the thing about it is that this has been completely self-funded. And when I tell you every savings account, everything.
Girl, I read the whole description and my butt was clenched. I was like, you put all your own money into this, all your savings. That is terrifying.
Yes, it is. But I also know that, especially being like a Black woman entrepreneur, being an immigrant, doing something in a completely different country, it's already hard in the U.S. when options for funding are not available to you because banks don't want to lend to you, or like, you know, maybe your family's not in a position to help, or maybe your family is in a position to help but they don't want to, you know, like there's all kind of factors that make it harder for someone like me to start doing what I'm doing.
Yeah, but my parents die, they're not going to leave me a will, they're going to leave me a bill.
That does not help. But that is my whole point about where, you know, I kind of had to do it on my own, and it has been completely self-funded from the very beginning. And I want to keep the doors open. I want to keep doing this thing. So the crowdfund, it's probably something I should have done a year ago, but I think I was too afraid to be vulnerable and ask the community for help.
It's scary.
It is, to put yourself out there, and especially too because, you know, Instagram, like, it is social media. The whole point is to show like the best side of things, but it's not always the reality. In fact, most of the time it's not the reality. What you're seeing is a moment in time, but overall, running a restaurant is hard. There's a lot of ups and downs. There's a lot of things that cost money. There's a lot of unforeseen expenses, managing a whole team of people, like constant turnover. Like there's just a lot of things.
And you're the boss. You are the one who's in charge of everything.
Right, exactly. Which is sometimes why I have decision fatigue. I'm like, I just need to like lay here and nobody ask me nothing. I don't even want to talk. Like, I just need to like have quiet time so I can manage myself.
I know that exact feeling. But I mean, I commend you so much for being vulnerable. I mean, I think your crown, is it GoFundMe?
Yes.
It's a GoFundMe, and we're gonna make sure we link that in the description. The way it's written is it's well thought out. It's informed. You know exactly what the money is going to, and you're being vulnerable. You're being honest about your journey. To me, even if I wasn't aware of what Blaxicocina was, reading that, I would have been like, that's somebody I want to help out. Because I mean, you got money for Netflix, you got money for Taco Bell, you got money for McDonald's. Put that McDonald's money towards this. You know, when we want these kinds of businesses to survive, we want these small businesses to thrive. That was loud.
This city always has something to say.
City always has something to say. So just last question for you.
Sure.
What advice would you give to another entrepreneur, small business owner trying to start a new business in a new country, particularly to maybe somebody Black going into a non-Black context or a non-Western country? What advice would you give them? What would you tell yourself from a couple years ago now?
I mean, I think what I'm doing, like just continuing to be a student, learning the language goes a long way, even if you don't speak fluently or you only speak a little bit, like just showing people that you're making an effort to try to connect with them through learning their language. That's huge. In every country that I've been to, just the act of trying goes a long way for a lot of people.
It does. It does. I mean, I think from my experience, I speak a few languages as well, and people feel special when they know you're deciding to choose their language, you're deciding to learn their language, and you don't have to, and you're choosing to. It makes people feel special, and it makes them feel like their culture is valued. And that seems like this is what this is about. This is showing Black culture has value, Black food has value, and people will appreciate it. If the food is good, they will come. And I'm excited to try some food. I don't know about you, but I am.
Look, I actually haven't really eaten all day today, so I might have to eat with you.
Exactly. Okay, so it seems like it's time for that, because I've been smelling that fried chicken since I came in. I'm smelling these seasonings. I love this blue drink. I want to try this. I want some more of this. I want to try something else. But I also just want to say thank you for letting us come in. You know, we messaged you out of the blue, just two Joe Schmoes from Hawaii, saying, hey, can we come to your restaurant, take up some of your time, interview you, ask you a bunch of questions, and you were super accommodating. This is a beautiful space. We're so excited to be here, and we're definitely excited to come back.
No, thank y'all too for taking an interest, and I'm glad you're here to see it and to be a part of the experience. Well, thank you so much. Any last parting words, anything you want to say to our viewers? I just want y'all to take in how beautiful this mural is. It's on the outside of the building. This was a friend of mine from Oaxaca, an artist that I met by chance. I just ducked into a cafe to get a glass of water. It was really hot. I saw Le Loza, one of his pieces. I bought it, and I reached out to him on Instagram. Was like, hey, I bought one of your pieces, and he invited me to come to his town outside of Oaxaca City, and it started a friendship that 9 months later when I opened up this restaurant, and I was like, hey, I got this white wall on the outside of this restaurant. I mean, you've taken this white wall and you've made it beautiful. Make sure we show it. What's his name? Le Loza. Le Loza. Okay.
Yes.
Well, y'all, I'll send it to you.
Yes. We'll make sure we link to that because we also want to support artists.
Yes.
We love to consume art, but we want to make sure we support those artists as well.
100%. And he is a real one. So I love the way that he integrated like Afro-Mexican symbolism with some of like the Black things that I had told him about from my childhood, like the hummingbirds being outside of my window and outside the kitchen where I would cook with my mom, and the matriarchs in my family, the hibiscus flower, which is a shared emblem of Mexico, and my own personal story. So there's just a lot of really like beautiful things that are in this mural that I'm very proud of. Okay, I love that, and I want to take a closer look at that for sure. Well, thank you so much for letting us come in here. Thanks for accommodating us. Thanks for allowing us to come in and share your food. We're so excited. We're so happy to be here. And thank you for being our first restaurant owner that we're doing this with. I love it. Okay, and then in Hawaii, we say aloha for hello. We say it for goodbye. We talk about the aloha spirit, and I feel like the aloha spirit is definitely alive here in Mexico. And then what we do, we throw shakas. So we got this. So thank you guys, and aloha. Aloha.
Welcome to Dance Session.